What's going on, guys? SeeJay here, and in today's video I wanted to spend a few minutes just kind of discussing what I'm kind of doing in the game while we're sort of at a lack of content and just lack of communication. But let's go ahead and just kind of talk through it as I have the game open right now in BlueStacks on my computer. So let's go ahead. All right, guys, so I want to make a quick video today just kind of talking about sort of not really my wish list. We've already done a video like that regarding some content and some features we'd like to see added to the game, but I've mentioned this in a video in the past. For the last week or two, I've been playing Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes just as like a interim game on the side, mostly because I'm a Star Wars fan. Figured same creators. Obviously, I enjoy Heroes of Middle Earth, so I'd probably enjoy that game too. The only part of the game that I don't really like, and I don't put as much like effort or thought into what I'm doing in the game, besides just kind of like logging in once, maybe twice a day, and just kind of doing some quick spam farms on character shards and stuff, is the game's just been out for so long. I feel so far behind, and I've watched a bunch of like beginner guides across a bunch of different creators, but it still just kind of feels like there's so much in that game because it's been out for so long. I feel so lost, and you'd overcome that. Like, that isn't something that the game is just so difficult. You can't get to that next step or next point in the game just like this game. You probably come in and feel a little overwhelmed if you had everything, and then eventually you'd feel pretty good about the game. But anyways, so what I thought was kind of interesting and what kind of sparked me to make this video was I mostly play this game on mobile. The only time I really play it on my computer is if like I'm just kind of working and swing over for about 2 minutes, because it's like that 11 a.m. or 3 p.m. kind of threshold where I know like I can quickly swing over here, claim my energy, do a quick 2 minutes in the game to just kind of refresh whatever I'm farming, whether it be a character or gear, etc. Right? Like literally less than 5 minutes in the game generally on BlueStacks, unless I'm recording. The only other time I'm really in here is if I'm playing the raid and I'm able to come in here because like my son is taking a nap or something. Maybe I'll come in and just kind of like do it on the computer because it's a little bit easier to sort of see who's got buffs and debuffs or boons and banes, whatever you want to call them, and maybe just do a little better in my raid. But generally speaking, the mobile version of the game is totally fine. So I don't spend a lot of time on the computer version of this game outside of, again, when I'm recording. And I wanted to check, and I said, if I went to my phone and I checked my playtime in this game, and I consider myself pretty hardcore, right? Like, obviously I make content on it. I post videos on the game every day. I'm constantly trying to think about like how to min-max my character. Outside of the actual application of the game, I spend a lot of time on this game, right? Like, I'm pretty in the weeds when it's, Discord, constantly refreshing to read what's going on in the community, constantly watching other content creators' videos just to kind of see like what they're thinking about or what they're talking about. Like, I spend way too much time, honestly, in the world of Lord of the Rings, Heroes of Middle Earth, to be frank. But my actual in-game time is kind of surprisingly low, even considering myself a bit more of a hardcore player than your probably casual player who probably isn't logging in every single day or logging in multiple times a day. And even with the amount of logins that I do in this game, it's still really only adding up to about an hour a day on average. A lot less on non-raid days and a bit more on raid days. So on a given day, you're probably looking at somewhere around 30 minutes to an hour. And on a raid day, it's probably closer to an hour and a half to 2 hours, just depending on how long and how many attempts I'm trying. But yeah, I mean, that's just like not a lot of game time. And I don't want a game that like I need to play for 8 hours. Like, sure, that would be fun if there was that much content and that much to do and it was fun content to be in the game for that long. Like, I wouldn't be mad about a game that has me locked in, but it's hard to believe any mobile game, once you're like past, the beginning sort of first couple of days or even first few hours of a game where they're just throwing loads of energy at you and you're kind of progressing the storyline and the campaign and unlocking this and unlocking that and kind of doing a whole bunch of stuff. Once you get past that, like, honeymoon phase of the game, you sort of enter into like the reality of the game, which is like, okay, it's a mobile game, you're locked behind energy, you really can't do much more than the energy will allow you to do, and therefore this game is just not a game that you can turn on and play for hours on end, because you just can't. Even if you're a whale, like, at some point you run out of energy, you run out of resources to keep playing until it regenerates based off time, right? So that's fine. Like, I don't expect this game to ever be a game that's going to lock you in for hours on end every single day. But what was surprising is when I play Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, even though like I'm very, very casual where I am probably your average player base in a game like this, logging in once a day, you know, kind of reaping the rewards, doing your farms, and maybe I'll play again at some point in the evening. But most likely I won't even log back into the game, right? Like I'm very, very casual, just trying to like dip my toes in the game to get a feel for like, what does an 8-year Capital Games game look like that we could eventually see in our game? And again, these features, some of them would make sense in this game or a version of it. But what got me thinking again was like, I don't really spend a lot of time in the game. I just don't, right? Like an hour a day as a hardcore player feels pretty light. And I was looking at Star Wars Galaxy Heroes, and like there's a lot of the same features, right? Like majority of them exist in both games. You have your refreshes throughout the day that you can collect to use the energy to kind of keep playing a little bit more throughout the day. You have your store refreshes to use currency outside of the gem currency in the game to kind of, you know, collect some stuff through that way. You have your campaign, you know, in this game you have like, you know, the light and the shadow. In that game you have the light and the dark. So same design campaign. You have the leveling system both for your character and for your actual characters. The shard farming, like everything is the same, right? Even the guild campaign in that game is like a cantina, but same concept. Like you're not locked behind 5 tries. You can try as many times as you want. You're just locked behind the energy. The guild system, very similar, just has a higher cap. Arena, again, from like a current arena mode we have in our game, same concept, squad arena, 5 people on your team can go in and battle it out against another group to, you know, work your way up the ranks to get your daily sort of you know, rewards for doing so. So a lot of the stuff exists in both games. Raids, again, like all of it that we see on our screen in our game is in that game. But then they have a lot of stuff outside of it that does get you sort of in the game longer, more time, like more things to do that isn't all locked behind energy costs. So it's interesting because, you know, like we have glyphs, but they're on nodes in the game. In that game, the mods, same concept, has their own energy and their own farming that you can use in order to go ahead and get what you need in the game for your characters. Pretty interesting. It gives you another something to do, to spend energy on. So that's great. They have the gear progression, right? So like we'll eventually see this. We're at gear 10. They're at gear 13 plus relics and omicrons and all this other crazy shit that is obviously very high whale territory. We'll see it eventually in our game. That's just like a timetable thing. That's not something I'd love to see them just slap in an additional 5 layers of gear tier, because that would suck. Then you have Grand Arena and multi-squad PvP, kind of similar, right? Like our multi-squad PvP should be very similar to Grand Arena. But the Grand Arena, it's just something to do, which is great, right? Like it doesn't exist in our game, but it's another something to do in the game. The journey system is awesome. Like if you're going after like, you know, Jedi, Luke, Master, Skywalker, whatever his name is, you can click him and it'll tell you exactly what characters you need, because there's a requirement to even be able to enter in, sort of like in our game where we have like the legendaries and you have Lord Elrond and you need 5 elves at 5-star to even attempt for him to unlock him at the, you know, the lowest version of the 5-star Elrond. They have a similar concept where you can get them at 5 stars, but they show you like you need these 5 characters. But because there's so many characters in the game, like to get those 5, you have to do like the whole tier system where there's like there's these 5 and then there's these 5, which in our game it's like you only have so many factions and so many characters. So like at this point in the game, it's, oh, elves are really good, dwarves are really good. You need goblins for dwarves. Probably focus on those guys, right? Like when you get out of your sort of like Isengard grind. So there's some value into farming other stuff because of requirements, sort of like how the goblins are required for like dwarves, right? But it just feels nicer because there's like a screen to see it on, and it feels like you're working towards something because you can kind of like see it all put together on like a journey format, right? Galactic battles, they have like a war and a conquest system. So there's just like a lot more to do in this whole, again, event system within the game. It's not all locked behind energy. I think the conquest side is locked behind like a daily resource energy, but then the war side is a daily attempt, and then you can sim it if you don't want to do it. So just like our campaigns where you can like just sim through them and get the rewards, or you can play them if you're interested. Again, it's something to do, right? They have territory awards for guilds. I haven't even done one myself, but again, something else to do in the game, right? Like it's not up, I don't think, every day or every other day. Maybe it's weekly. I don't know the sequence of those events, but it's something to do. And speaking of events, we don't really have anything for events, right? Like we have just status quo. What you see is what you get. and then they add in marquee characters as like events, but that's really not events. They're just adding characters and giving you a little bit of story behind it in order to unlock them. In that game, they have like the smugglers event. And again, I'm very new to the game, so I don't even know what half the stuff gives you, but there's always sort of something that you can do that isn't all locked behind, like in our game, 2 primary resource sort of lockouts that doesn't allow you to to keep playing. Like I'm making this video as I literally turn from my computer desk to the game for 5 seconds to just quickly come in here to collect my my store 4-hour refresh bonus chest, because I knew it was up since I did it earlier this morning around 9. So I figured, what the hell, I'll grab it to get that back on refresh mode. I picked up a couple of supplies, because this refreshes every few hours throughout the day. So I picked up a couple of these guys. And my raid, technically chapter 4 is up today, so obviously I'll participate that here soon when I get some time. But generally speaking, there's like, what else if I didn't have raids, like what else would I even do right now? Nothing, right? Like there's nothing else to do. I mean, I could spend hours on having a fantastic time in a video like I made yesterday regarding my glyphs and just breaking all those down, but that's not fun. Like, I don't want to do that. I want to play the game because I enjoy the game, but there's nothing to do. So anyways, just kind of giving you a little bit of insights as to like things we could eventually see in the game. Given what they've already added to Star Wars, it wouldn't probably be a 1-for-1, but they certainly would add some similar features into the game, like territory war of some sort could probably be added. We know multi-squad PvP is coming, which is like their grand arena. Oh, I didn't even talk about the fleet system. Jesus, I have a note over here and I totally whiffed on that. Fleets, like, we don't have a secondary kind of character system in this game. It's like the characters are what you get. In that game, you have the characters just like we do, and then they have an entire secondary system with a whole currency, like energy behind it, currencies locked behind it, the whole 9, like an entire another game within the game that's just focused on getting the ships and doing the same concept. You get your shitty ships to get your very, very good, like galactic kind of, unlock level ships, and then they have a whole like arena system on the ships, and you have like characters that are a part of the ship, and you have to have the character to get the ship, and like there's just so much to do and think about and grind. And then even like external sources is just great. Like, we have LOTR.GG is probably like the one and only site that exists for this game right now. In that game, they've got like similar kind of website with just great data, like telling you what people are specifically playing, what they have on their characters. So like if you're high in arena, you can kind of see like what are they using, so you can like understand what's their speed, and you can try to out cap their speed to go first to beat that. Like, there's just a lot of data out there too, which is always fun to have that type of information in order to play these kind of games and like really min-max your team. So anyways, just wanted to make a quick video. I was, like I said, I was in here for a second just kind of doing my 15 seconds of fun, and then I figured I'd make a video because I was playing Star Wars Galaxy's Heroes actually before this, because I was just kind of doing my once sort of a day login kind of farm for my team. And it got me thinking, like, man, there's just so much more I could do if I wanted. I just don't really want to right now because I don't want to like invest that much time into this game. It's more like a fun side thing while I'm trying to learn what we could eventually see in our game. But it just had me thinking while I popped this one open and said, Jesus, I just played that for like 30 minutes with plenty more to do, and I don't even have anything else to do in this game right now. I could do like 2 more arenas, in which I'll probably wait closer to my my payout to see if I can stay in gold for the day. But anyways, if you enjoy the video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'm hopeful that we have some kind of information tomorrow, because we have 2 days left in January, and it'd be great to see a February calendar show up on our game so we can get some February resources, because right now we don't have anything. So it'll be interesting. But see you later. Bye.